بسم الله والفصل الثاني.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الفصل الثاني عن ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الله جعل الحق على لسان عمر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. We start discussing the manaqib and the virtue of His Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. وعن ابن عمر, narrating the authority of Ibn Umar, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إن الله جعل الحق على لسان عمر وقلبه. رواه الترمذي. وفي رواية أبي داود عن أبي ذر قال إن الله وضع الحق على لسان عمر يقول به. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Narrated on the authority of the Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, really Allah Ta'ala has put the truth in Allah jal haqqa ala lisani Umar, upon the tongue of Umar, wa qalbihi, and his heart. So what does it mean Allah Ta'ala has put the truth on the tongue of Umar and his heart? It means he would speak the truth. Allah Ta'ala inspired him, like we told you before, he was mulham bisawab. Allah Ta'ala would always inspire him to say the right thing. Rawahu Tirmidhi, Imam Tirmidhi narrated the riwayat. وفي رواية أبو داود, in another riwayat of Abu Dawud, أن أبي ذر, narrating the authority of Abu Dhar, قال إن الله, verily Allah Ta'ala, وضع الحق, he placed the truth, على لسان عمر, upon the tongue of Umar, يقول به, and he speaks it. على لسان عمر, we mentioned before, we said, as Umar radiallahu ta'ala who was from the Rijal Taqweeniyah. Remember that Rijal Taqweeniyah is what? Those people who Allah Ta'ala used them for matters of the dunya. If you haven't done this before, you're still going to do it. About the Abdal, those chosen servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala used them to control, they like the deputies of Allah Ta'ala, the Khalifatullah fil Ard. So he was from amongst those people. So Allah Ta'ala would put him, many times, the statements he would make, it would be endorsed by the Quran. If you look at the forthcoming hadith, he speaks about something similar also. So as Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he would always, Allah Ta'ala inspire him with the correct thing. He'd always make the correct statements. And I told you, always his statements, his opinions would be validated by the Quran. It would be validated by revelation to such an extent that we would even think that perhaps maybe there's an angel inspired him to say the correct thing every time. That's why as Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu and as Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they would say that if we were told there is an angel that is inspiring Umar to speak the truth all the time, we wouldn't consider it something impossible because of the abundance of truth or the abundance of golden advices that would flow from his lips. Okay, read the next one. See, there also says, it says there also in the. Okay, the next riwayat speak about the Sakinahu. Okay, read the next riwayat. Right, see there, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Narrate the authority of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, Ma kunna nub'idu. We wouldn't consider it distant or impossible, right? أن sakina means like itminalul kalam. Right? Such speech, it would give us satisfaction. Such speech, it would make us feel satisfied. Such speech, it would make us blessed us. We wouldn't consider it distant that such right. We wouldn't consider that this used to flow from the tongue of Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Like I told you, Allah Ta'ala made him mulham bis sawab, tumadinat, peace, consolatory words, etc., would flow from the tongue of the Umar. Read the next riwayat.
وعن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال اللهم أعز الإسلام يا جاهل بن هشام الخطاب فأصبح عمر وغدا على فسمى ثم صلى المسجد الله أكبر.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. One Ibn Abbas, narrate the authority of Ibn Abbas, and in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on the authority of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قال Allahumma a'izz al-Islam, O Allah, honor Islam, bi Jahl ibn Hisham, with Abi Jahl ibn Hisham, who we know Abu Jahl, or bi Umar ibn al-Khattab, or honor Islam with Umar al-Khattab. فأصبح عمر, then as Umar woke up one morning, فغدا على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, we went to Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم, فأسلم, and accept Islam. ثم صلى في المسجد ظاهرا, or you can go ثم صلي في المسجد, and after that salah was read openly in the Masjid al-Haram. Or Ahmad wa Tirmidhi, Imam Ahmad and Tirmidhi narrate this particular riwayat. So you know that Abu Jahl was a very powerful person amongst the Quraysh people who respect him. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala also was a very powerful person. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught himself, if any one of these two people accept Islam, if any one of these two people accept Islam, it will be a boost for Islam. It will be a boost for Islam. That means people won't push the Muslims around anymore. Then hence he made this dua, Allah, if any one of these two people, if you can become Muslim, then the Muslims will become more powerful. And Allah Ta'ala had world it as such, you know the story, you've done the story in detail in your Qasasun Nabiyyin, that as Umar went to his sister and they were reading something and then they hid it away and then he got annoyed and then he beat her, and eventually when it was brought out and he read it and then he accepted Islam, etc., etc. So never this be that as it may, after he accepted Islam, this was a boost for the Muslims. So now the Muslims had a very strong ally, a very strong person with them to such an extent. Now, what happened? That Muslims could read their salat openly in Masjid al-Haram, and nobody would interfere with them because of their fear for Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Let's read the next riwayat.
عن جابر رضي الله تعالى عنه قال عمر أبي بكر يا خير الناس بعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال أبو بكر ألا إنك إن كنت ذلك فلقد سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما طلعت الشمس على رجل خير من عمر.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن جابر, narrated of the authority of Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right, narrated the authority of Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right, he said قال عمر لأبي بكر, what you got, قال Umar, once has Abu Bakr, as Umar said to Abu Bakr, right, Ya khayran nas, right, what you are saying. So Umar said to us, Abu Bakr, Ya khayran nas, ba'da Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So who's addressing who? Umar is addressing Abu Bakr and he's referring to his khayran nas. You are the best of people, right? فقال أبو بكر معلش ما تسمعش دي what you got there
فقال أبو بكر أما إنك
right so as Abu Bakr said فقال أبو بكر أما إنك إن قلت if you're saying this you're referring to me يعني Abu Bakr is telling Umar you're referring to me as خير الناس but فلقد سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم but I heard رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم saying ما طلعت الشمس على رجل خير من عمر you're referring to me as the best of people after Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم but I heard something opposite ما طلعت الشمس that the sun has not risen on a person better than Umar يعني obviously after the Anbiya because the Anbiya are the most virtuous right رواه الترمذي وقال هذا حديث غريب Imam الترمذي narrates this riwayat وقال هذا حديث غريب and he says this is a غريب hadith. So we know for a fact we've discussed this several times and we know it is the belief of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam as the Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu is the most virtuous person, right? That is the belief. This is one of the salient features that make the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah who the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is, right? Or make them who they are, right? So what does this hadith here mean? Whereas Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu himself is saying that look here, that I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying that the best person after the Rasulullah is the Umar. Right? So 2, 3 answers we can give here. But there's one thing, remember, there's a saying in English, it goes like this. Well, it goes like this, one swallow doesn't make a spring. One swallow doesn't make a spring. So you don't take one hadith in isolation. You don't take one hadith in isolation and you look at it and then you formulate an opinion. You look at all the hadith put together. That's the first answer. If you look at all the hadith and we put it together and we look at them all jointly, then they all point to this fact that what Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the most virtuous person, right? There are so many hadith there you can see we done in the chapter of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu that all the Sahaba Karam would say that we considered Rasulullah Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu the most virtuous person after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc., etc. So if that is our belief, actually this is our belief here that أفضل البشر بعد الأنبياء بالتحقيق Abu Bakr and Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. That Abdul Bashar, the most virtuous person, بعد الأنبياء, after the Anbiya, بالتحقيق, with certainty, right? Abu Bakr and Siddiq is Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So, if that is our belief, then how do we answer this particular question here? Or how do we answer this hadith? Three answers we can give, or 2 answers. Maybe this was a fazilat juz'i. Fazilat juz'i means not overall and complete fazilat, in some aspects. In the fact that as Abu Bakr, as Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, was a very astute statesman. He was, very, very just and fair. Another answer which we could give here is this was perhaps before even Allah Ta'ala had established or revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Hazrat Abu Bakr was the most virtuous person. Or we know Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala as a person who had great firasat, Urdu say durbini. So in that aspect, in fact, if you look at the next hadith, it speaks about something similar. Read the next hadith, let's see what they say.
صلى الله عليه وسلم كان بعدي نبي كان عمر
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. See, وأن عقبة بن عامر narrated authority of عقبة بن عامر قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said لو كان بعدي نبي, if there to be a nabi after me, لكان عمر بن الخطاب, it would have been عمر بن الخطاب. روى الترمذي وقال هذا حديث غريب. So this hadith also is a strong proof against all the different sects that claimed they have prophets like the Qadianis. They believe Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was a prophet. If you look at the Nation of Islam, they believe in Malcolm X, and there's a host of others. So the hadith is quite clear. If there had to be a Nabi after me, then it would have been Umar. But we know obviously there's no Nabi Sallallahu. In several hadith, he mentioned that I'm ana khatamun nabiyyin. Even the Quran says that Nabi Sallallahu is the last prophet. So like I mentioned to you before, Umar radiallahu ta'ala is from those people from the Ghaibi Nizam, Ashab al-Takween. He had that potential, he had that istidad. But because Nubuwat was finished, obviously the door was closed already. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I'm the last brick in the house of the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wa taslim. So there'll be no Nabi coming after me. So here we got a clear proof to show that there's no Nabi after Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Read the next one.
عن بريدة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال خرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بعض الأغوار فلما انصرف جاءت جارية سوداء فقالت أعدك الله صالحا أن أضرب.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وأن بريدة narrated the authority of بريدة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال خرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بعض مغازيه. He returned from one of his battles. فلما انصرف, when he came back, جاءت جارية, a slave girl came, سوداء, right? سوداء, Aswad is the masculine and Sauda is the feminine, right, from Africa. So she was happy that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned back from his battle safely. فقالت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, said, يا رسول الله, إني كنت نذرت, verily I took a qasam, إن ردك الله صالحا, if Allah Ta'ala brings you back safely from your battle, you don't become harmed, you're not hurt, injured, أضرب بين يديك بالدف. You got بالدف or بالدف? بالدف. Then I will beat in front of you the duf, right? وأتغنى, and I will sing. Carry on.
قال صلى الله عليه وسلم كنت نذرت تضربي وإلا.
So فقال لها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, Nabi said, إن كنت نذرت فاضربي. If you took this nazar, right? إن كنت نذرت فاضربي, then hit the duf, strike the duf, right? وإلا, but if you never take this custom, don't do it, right? Carry on.
فجعل تضرب فدخل أبو بكر وهي تضرب.
Right, right. فجعلت تضرب. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam permitted, and then she started. Just change the page to the next page. Right, so she فجعلت تضرب, she started hitting the doof. Right, فدخل أبو بكر, Abu Bakr entered into the same majlis وهي تضرب, while she was striking, hitting the doof, right? Carry on. ثم دخل علي, as Ali came, وهي تضرب. ثم دخل عثمان, as Uthman came, وهي تضرب. Carry on. ثم دخل عمر. Right. ثم دخل عمر. Then when Umar came, فألقت الدف تحت إستها. She just put it under, like she sat on it. Ist means your posterior, right, your buttocks. In other words, when she saw Umar, she became scared, and she just put it under, right? Carry on.
ثم صعدت عليها.
She sat on it, right?
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الشيطان يخاف منك يا عمر.
Right. So with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الشيطان لا يخاف منك يا عمر. He said, verily, Umar radiallahu ta'ala seems like shaitan fears you even, right? Carry on. إني كنت جالسا.
إني كنت جالسا وهي تجري فدخل أبو بكر ثم دخل علي وهي تجري ثم دخل عثمان وهي فلما دخلت أنت يا عمر
Yeah. So see, so Nabi Sallam is saying, this is not Nabi Sallam saying, right? Inna shaytana la yakhafu minka ya Umar. He said, Inni kuntu jalisan, I was sitting, wa hiya tadribu, while she was eating the duf, فدخل Abu Bakr, as Abu Bakr hit the duf, wa hiya tadribu, right? He's striking the duf. ثم دخل عثمان, as Uthman entered, وهي تضرب, while she was striking the duf. فلما دخلت أنت يا عمر, but when you entered the Umar, right? ألقت الدف, she put it away. Right? She alaqat min throw, but she threw it away, right? Right? رواه الترمذي, Imam Tirmidhi narrates this. وقال هذا حديث حسن غريب صحيح. So this is a Hasan Sahih Gharib hadith. So before we proceed to look at the hadith, just before we look at the explanation, first there are hadith. Look here, there are hadith that permits the striking of the duf at the time of jihad and at the time of nikah. Two things you must remember, right? First, there are hadith that permit the striking of the duf at the time of jihad and the time of nikah. First thing you remember. Second thing I want you to remember is when they speak about the duf here, it is not anything like the drums we have. The duf in previous time was basically just like a wooden bark that has been hollowed out with a piece of leather stretched across it. So it would have a very dull sound. It would have a very dull thud. You understand what I'm saying? So in no way can you use like the type of drums today that has the echoing sounds, etc., etc. So right. So two things I told you. First, it was permitted at the time of jihad. Second time, it was permitted at the time of nikah. And the third thing, the doof was very different to the drums we have today, right? And then the fourth thing I want to tell you is from this hadith, without even looking at the technicalities, etc., etc., you will understand that the doof was something that was permitted. Nabi Sallallahu permitted it on happy occasions, but it wasn't something that was, so to say, encouraged. That is why you see our ulama also, they don't encourage it. They won't say now at the time of nikah have the doof, etc., etc. So you have, if you look at the hadith from some angles, that Nabi Sallallahu permitted it. See, look, if you took this qasam, then allow it to happen. And then Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when as Umar came, she stopped. So as Umar never said, now Nabi Sallallahu never carry on with it. So you can see it was something which was like mubah, but it was not something that was encouraged, right? So that 4 points, keep it 4 points in mind. Now let's look at the explanation. Duf in the it's mentioned in the more eloquent Arabic, you normally refer to as daf. With a sakin on the fa, dafun. So yeah, normally when you say nazar, inni nazartu. Nazar means when you take a qasam to do some type of ibadat, right? But here, this wasn't an ibadat. I told you, at most we could say it's permissible. So we can say nadar never come in the meaning of the technical meaning. You can say nadar came in the meaning of just, I took a qasam, I'm going to do this, right? Are you with me? So nadar is not in the technical meaning of nadar, but it's just in the meaning of, um, I've been taking an oath. I took an oath. So Rasulullah said, okay, this is a permissible thing. And since you took an oath that you're going to do it, then go ahead and do it, right?
I think for our Salah, all the du'as now they have Salah together. It is go through the du'as which we do Salah together. It is something we must always.
So I was telling you, at the time of happy occasions, like in jihad, when a jihad is won, etc.
So we need.
And here when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has returned safely from jihad, it is permitted. And because she had taken a qasam, an oath, so Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not want her to become hanif in a qasam. Right? Hence Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam permitted it. And we know Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was soft-natured. So hence he permitted it. And obviously it was done with the correct intention. She done it with the correct intention when ikhlas. That is why Nabi Sallam permitted it. So normally it is something that can be abused. Like I told you, on the wrong occasion, or sometimes they use it like not the simple truth that we're speaking about. So as Umar radiallahu, so she knew, the slave girl knew, like I'll remember that hadith we done, that those ladies, they were petitioning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for something. But when as Umar radiallahu ta'ala entered, what happened? They all fled. They ran away. So something similar to this here also, that as Umar was so ashadduhum fi amri la Umar, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar is so severe in implementing the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Umar knew that maybe this could be open to abuse, so he wouldn't permit it, and she knew this. Hence, when she saw Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, she left it immediately and she fled from there. Right? So this shows you, I told you, it is a hadith like these. It is a hadith like these why our ulama don't really encourage it. While you see, we do not say, because there's a very fine line between it being abused, etc. Okay, time is up. We'll stop there. We'll switch over to the tafsir, inshallah.
Yeah. Now let's